Okay, so we're all in quarantine, so I figured I'd just have some fun and make an instructional video, some instructional videos on how to do juggling. This will be the first one, and I'm just going to give some basic tips, and we'll move through some of the steps progressively. So the first thing you got to learn when you learn how to juggle is to learn how to drop the ball. Juggling is probably one of the most humiliating things in the world. We make as jugglers, we drop the ball all the time. If you see a juggler doing a trick in public and he pulls it off perfectly, what you don't see is the hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of practicing that trick, dropping the ball, not getting frustrated and throwing the ball across the room. Jugglers practice constantly in order to get to where they are. So first thing you got to learn when you start to learn how to juggle is something that seems obvious. Take the juggling balls, drop them. You got to learn how to drop the ball. It's part of the game. So I have 3 juggling balls here. These are my favorite types of juggling balls. They're easy to learn with, and they're also easy to carry around. They can kind of squish down into your backpack, and they don't take up a lot of space. So the first lesson for learning how to juggle is going to be learning how to throw a ball from one hand to the other. So you take a juggling ball, you're going to put it in a cradle. You make a cradle with your fingers, and this is where you're going to catch the juggling ball. This is where you're going to from where you're going to throw it. So you're going to have the juggling ball where your fingers are here. You'll throw it in the air and catch it in this hand. Throw it back. You want to throw the juggling ball so it goes about a little bit higher than your eyes, but so that it doesn't necessarily leave the side of your vision. You want to be able to follow it with your eyes if you have to, but be able to look through the juggling ball and just kind of see it in your peripheral vision. Okay, so it's going to be about this height that you want to learn how to throw the juggling ball. Now you can throw it a bit higher, and that's okay. And when you get to more juggling balls, you're going to be throwing them quite high. But to just learn how to do regular juggling, just try and throw the ball about this height consistently. Now, a couple other things I need you to notice is the form of my body as I'm juggling. And so if you notice, if I stand this way when I'm juggling, you notice the form that my arms take. So my arm drops down and forms approximately 90 degrees. That doesn't have to be perfect. And then my shoulder is going to stay here close to my side as I'm juggling. That's the goal. As you begin juggling, your arms might be flailing all over the place. You're going to look like a tree in the middle of tornado season, potentially. But the goal is to eventually get it so your elbows are essentially staying in the same place. They raise and throw the ball and they come back. They raise and throw the ball and they come back. Now, one of the big problems that a lot of beginners have when they start learning how to juggle is they try to outthink gravity. Okay, and it sounds funny to say it like that. Everyone knows if you throw something in the air, it's going to come down. But when you first learn how to juggle, a lot of times what happens is that people will throw the ball up and then try and go catching it. And you can do that when you get to more advanced juggling. Those are things that you throw into your pattern, is that you learn that you throw juggling. You reach up and grab the ball, or you bring it over and you carry the ball. There's different things you can move into your pattern as you get into a more advanced juggling. But for now, when you're beginning juggling, you need to learn to let gravity do its job. So that's where keeping your elbows at your sides, hands out like this, is really important. You're going to learn to let gravity bring the ball down to your hand, and it will. Trust me, I've never once had a problem with the ball going up and staying up here. And so that's another trick you need to learn. One last thing we could throw in there is that sometimes that people when they learn how to juggle is they have problems with running forward. If you want to keep yourself from doing that, like the ball goes forward, and so you move forward to try and catch it. One of the tricks people use, a couple of the tricks people use to get over that difficulty is they'll stand in front of a chair, they'll stand in front of a bed, or in front of a desk, and so you actually can't move forward. When it comes to juggling, a lot of what you're learning is what essentially is muscle memory. So you're teaching your body certain reactions and certain ways of doing things. So it's really important when you're beginning juggling just to learn a simple pattern, and then after that you can innovate and move into all kinds of other things. So first thing you need to practice, throwing one ball from one hand to the other, just over top of your eyes. Try and get it consistently at the same height, and practice that for a little while, and then come back to the next video. We'll show what to do next.